She sat very still on the edge of the sofa, her hands resting on her knees, fingers tightly interlocked as if that alone could hold her together. Her face looked calm to anyone passing by, but inside, everything was shaking. The room was quiet, too quiet, the kind of silence that comes after a storm when the damage is already done. The words were still echoing in her head, words her husband had spoken coldly, without anger, without regret. After the divorce, he had simply opened the door and told her to leave. No explanations, no money, no apologies, just a final decision, delivered as if she were a burden he was relieved to be rid of. She left with one suitcase and a heart full of questions. The marriage that had once felt like a promise had slowly turned into years of quiet endurance. She had tolerated small humiliations at first, then larger ones, convincing herself that patience was strength. She worked, cooked, cleaned, smiled at family gatherings, and stayed silent when his parents spoke down to her. Somewhere along the way, she forgot what it felt like to be seen. That night, after being thrown out, she sat in a rented room she could barely afford, staring at the ceiling. The loneliness pressed against her chest, heavy and suffocating. She checked her phone again and again, half expecting a message, an apology, something. Nothing came. Instead, she remembered her father's voice from years ago, gentle but firm, telling her to always keep something just for herself. Back then, she hadn't understood what he meant. The next morning, with tired eyes and trembling hands, she went to the bank. She almost didn't go. It felt foolish, desperate. The old card had been in her wallet for years, untouched, forgotten. A card her father had given her long ago, telling her it was for, just in case. She had never asked questions. Life had seemed stable then. She hadn't needed a safety net. The bank smelled of paper and polished floors. She stood in line, her heart beating faster with every step forward. When it was finally her turn, she slid the card across the counter, almost embarrassed. The banker typed something into the computer, his face neutral at first. Then something changed. His fingers froze above the keyboard. His eyes widened slightly. He looked at the screen again, then at her, then back at the screen. She felt a chill run through her body. "Madam," he whispered, leaning closer, lowering his voice, "you need to see this." Her breath caught. She thought maybe there was a mistake. Maybe the card was invalid. Maybe it had been closed years ago. Instead, he turned the monitor toward her. Numbers filled the screen, numbers she couldn't immediately understand. Her mind struggled to process them. She blinked once, twice. Her heart began to pound. It wasn't just money, it was security, it was freedom, it was everything she had lost and thought she would never regain. She left the bank in a daze, sunlight hitting her face like she was seeing the world for the first time. The air felt different, lighter. She didn't smile. Not yet. This wasn't about revenge. It was about dignity. Days later, the phone rang. She recognized the number immediately. Her former in-laws. She hesitated before answering, but curiosity won. "We would love to take the children to the sea," her mother-in-law said in a falsely cheerful voice, "but unfortunately, we don't have the money right now." The words felt rehearsed. She said nothing. There was a pause, then the truth slipped out, careless and sharp. They had already left, gone to a resort, a luxury hotel in Gelendzhik, with the grandchildren from their daughter. Not her children, not the ones they claimed to care about equally. Her chest tightened, but she stayed quiet. That evening, the phone rang again. This time, the voice was panicked. "Daughter-in-law, why isn't the card working? We're at the reception. They're demanding 120,000 for the room." She closed her eyes slowly. In that moment, everything became clear. The years of manipulation, the silent expectations, the way they had always assumed she would give, sacrifice, stay quiet. They had taken the card without asking, convinced it was just another resource they were entitled to. Her face in the reflection of the window was calm, almost expressionless. But inside, something strong and steady rose up. "That's not my problem," she said softly. There was shouting on the other end. Accusations, insults, panic. She hung up. For the first time in years, she felt peace. She didn't rush to prove anything. She didn't call her ex-husband. She didn't post online. She moved forward quietly, the same way she had endured, only now, with control. She found a small apartment. Simple, bright, hers. She furnished it slowly, carefully, choosing each piece as if reclaiming parts of herself. People who had once ignored her suddenly remembered her existence. Old friends reached out. Family members became polite, respect returned, not because she demanded it, but because she no longer needed approval. Sometimes, late at night, she thought about how close she had been to breaking. How easily her story could have ended differently. And she understood something important. Silence is not weakness. It is often preparation. Her strength had always been there, hidden behind patience, waiting for the right moment to surface. And when it did, it didn't scream. It simply stood its ground.